Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing with you what morning time or morning basket is and how we do it. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, then hit that thumbs up button and stay tuned. So for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharia Maurice and I'm a homeschooling mama of 3 kiddos, ages 1, 3, and 5, almost 6. And I like sharing videos on how you can simplify your homeschool to save you time, money, and your sanity. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, then be sure and hit the subscribe button, turn on the little bell icon so that you can be notified of all of my latest videos. And if you'd like to get a behind the scenes look at our homeschool, you can follow us over on Instagram at @the_Sharia_Maurice. So today we are talking all things morning time or morning basket or circle time or symposium or however you might have heard of the concept of morning time. First, I'm going to talk about what morning time is. Now, Pam Barnhill is the first person who kind of codified what morning time is for the homeschooling family. She is not the creator of the concept of morning time, but I think as far as it pertains to homeschoolers and the initial idea of having morning time in your homeschool was her idea. But she does say in her website that she heard about morning time from somebody else when it was called morning basket or whatever. So she's not the original creator behind the morning time per se, but as far as it relates to homeschoolers and bringing the morning time into the homeschool, she was the first person who kind of created that and made it a thing for homeschoolers. So she describes morning time as a time in the day when everyone in the family can come together and learn about specific subjects. That is her description of morning time. And so essentially this means that it involves the whole family, so all age ranges. And in regards to homeschooling, it's subjects that you can do as a complete family. It's not grade specific. So we're talking history can be a family subject, science can be a family subject. Like math and reading and stuff like that, that's not necessarily something that you can do in your morning basket or your morning time. So this is a time where you can come together and learn as a family. And what is so great about morning time is that it's a really good use of your time because you have all of your children together at one time and y'all can all learn at the same time. So it's a really great use of your time in the day. What you put in your morning basket and your morning time is really up to you. Of course, like I said, it can't be something that's grade specific because then, it doesn't involve the whole family necessarily. But what we use it for personally is for what I like to call beauty books. This is the time in the day where I like to bring beauty to our homeschool. And I'll share with you in a minute how exactly I personally do that. But these are things like you can include poetry or Shakespeare or have a family read aloud time. You can do an artist study or a composer study. So those kind of things, that the subjects where you would like to learn about them in your homeschool, but you don't know where to fit them into your homeschool day. Because when you start scheduling out your day and you have the reading, writing, math, and the grade specific subjects, then it's like, well, how am I going to fit in artist study? How am I going to fit in Shakespeare? How am I going to fit in a read aloud time when we want to do all of this in the morning time and then have afternoons free? Like, this is not going to work, right? There's not enough time in the day for all of these subjects. So morning time is the perfect opportunity to fit those subjects in. And how long it goes is really up to you, and also the age ranges of your children. So right now we can only keep it at 30 minutes before my kids start to wander off and get silly. But for people who have older students, they can sometimes take their morning time up to an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on how much they're enjoying it. So it really just depends on your family. If you are doing morning time and you have all preschoolers, then you're probably looking at a 10-minute morning time and that's it, if you're lucky. So it's just something that you kind of have to build up to over time, of course. So that is what morning time is and how long it typically lasts. Now, of course, like I said, if you have toddlers, then it's going to be super short. But if you have a big family where you have older students in school and then you have preschoolers and babies and stuff like that, you might be interrupted by the babies and things like that. I'm going to share in a later video how exactly I handle the toddler and the preschooler during our morning time basket. But that's a whole nother video, so I'll get into that later. But for those of you who are just now implementing morning time, it's gonna take some practice if you have little ones and bigs to teach them how to sit and listen and enjoy morning time as a family. So that's what morning time is. All right, so now I'm going to explain how we, in our particular family, do morning time together. So our morning time honestly starts from breakfast until morning time is over, which is around like 9 o'clock, 9:30, just depending. And of course, it's not where we're all sitting down and listening to these stories or beauty books or whatever I have. It starts at breakfast because that's whenever I do our Bible time. But that's a component of our morning time, but it's not part of the morning basket, I guess. So we start at breakfast with our Bible read aloud and our family devotional. And so I'll just read a chapter from Proverbs, just depending on the date. So if it's the 14th, I'll read Proverbs chapter 14. And I just read straight from the Bible. We don't discuss it. I just really want to fill their hearts and their minds with God's word and then let him do with it as he pleases. And sometimes I'll get questions from that. Other times we'll just read it and then move on to the next thing. And we're going through a book of the Bible. Currently we're studying Galatians, and the same concept. I'll just read straight from the Bible. We spend, specifically for Galatians, we'll read a chapter a week. So I'll just kind of look at the chapter and kind of guesstimate how much I need to read in a day, in a morning during breakfast. And, I'll read a little bit of that. I'll get some questions maybe, or I'll sense the Spirit encouraging me to talk about something specific that we're reading, or I won't get anything and we'll just listen to it and then we'll move on with our day. So that is breakfast. And it's not necessarily part of our morning time, but I do like to include it because when we sit down to morning time, which happens after breakfast, we'll go on our nature walk, then we'll come back and start morning time. And that's when our morning time begins. And I start our morning time with our scripture memory work. So I have a little box here of all of our scripture memory cards that we are currently studying. So currently we're studying or memorizing Hebrews 2, chapter 2, verse 1. And so I'll review that with him, and then I'll just go through each card that we're supposed to be looking at for the day, and then we move on. So we always start out with our scripture memory work whenever it comes to our morning time. And then from there, I have my handy little schedule. Now, this is the first time that I'm using this schedule this year. I call it my beauty books schedule, and it's because this is my first time doing Ambleside Online. So a lot of our morning time is how I incorporate everything that Ambleside Online has to offer. So we're doing Ambleside Online year 1, and pretty much all of our readings and everything that we include in morning time come from the curriculum. Well, first of all, our schedule is a block schedule. So on Mondays, we read certain things and we cover certain things. Tuesdays, another certain things or whatever, Thursday, Friday, and so on. We don't school on Wednesdays, but we have specific things that we cover each day. So that's typically what you call a block schedule. I'm gonna go through the schedule with you, and then I'll tell you how or what we use for each of these things if it's necessary. So on Mondays, like I said, the first thing we cover is scripture memory, and we do that for each day. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, the very first thing we do for morning time is scripture memory. And then on Mondays and Thursdays, we go to our character study. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays, we do our hymn and or folk songs. So a couple weeks we'll be studying a hymn, and then another couple weeks we'll be studying a folk song, and we kind of go back and forth. So yeah, then on Mondays, after our scripture memory and our character, we read our literature. So this is from Aesop's Fables and Just So Stories by Rudyard Kipling. And that's straight out of Ambleside Online. And then we have picture study. So right now we're studying the Byzantine Empire. Tuesdays, like I said, scripture memory. Then we do hymn folk song. And then we'll read from Parables from Nature. And then we'll have our recitation. We'll read our science reading, which is currently from the Burgess Bird book. On Thursdays, scripture memory, character. Then we'll do poetry. I'm reading from A.A. Milne right now. We'll do more literature, but this time from the Blue Fairy book. Currently, we're working through our way through Aladdin. And then we'll do our catechism. Currently, we're studying the Lord's Prayer, but then after we've memorized it, we're going to move on to the question and answer style catechism. And then Friday, scripture memory, hymn or folk song. Then we'll have our science reading from the Burgess Bird book. We'll do our catechism again, and then we have our nature study. So Friday, our morning times are cut quite a bit short because we do our nature walk before we have our morning time, but usually that extends into our morning time because we go for a bike ride, we walk around the lake, we make it this big whole ordeal. And so we usually get back near the end of morning time. And so those things that are listed for Friday are generally short things that don't take but 10 minutes to do. So that is our beauty books schedule, like I like to call it. And so for character study, how I do character study is currently we're working on the character quality of diligence. And so this is my morning time folder. It's just a folder where I have all of the things that we need for morning time in my morning time basket, which I don't have. It's actually plugged in. And I say it's plugged in because I have all of my charging cords for I use my Kindle E-reader a lot. And so I have everything set up over there next to my rocking chair, and I want to keep it over there because it's a whole mess to undo, but it's plugged in. So this sits inside my morning time basket, and it has all of the things that we need. So for character, we're studying diligence. I have this chart here by onemomandablog.com. I just found this, I think, on Pinterest maybe. And she has listed out in this chart here, I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but basically the character qualities and a working definition of them. So she puts here diligence versus slothfulness, and then it is, I don't have my glasses, visualizing each task as a special assignment from the Lord and using all my energies to accomplish it. And then she has a scripture to go along with it from Colossians 3:23. So sometimes I use this for our character study, and we will kind of make up a hand motion for the definition to remember it. We did alertness once, which is being aware of that which is taking place around me so that I can have, that was a long time ago, being aware of that which is taking place around me so that I can have the right response. So we have little hand motions where we memorize to help us memorize what the character quality definition is. So sometimes I use this, and then sometimes I use this book. This is a child's book of character building, Growing Up in God's World at Home, at School, and at Play by Ron and Rebecca Coriel. And this is actually book 1 of 2, which I didn't realize. I just got this at half price. I opened it up, and I really liked it because it shares these character qualities in story format. So it brings kind of the character quality to life in a way that my children might understand a little bit better than just talking about it generally. So like I said, currently we're working on diligence, and I really liked the explanation in this book, so I decided to use it as how we will memorize what diligence is, which is working hard to accomplish a task, what it says in here. And then they list Proverbs 22:29 as a scripture reference to the character quality. I mean, we can see all of these character qualities in so many verses in the Bible, so it's just take your pick. But then it will give a little story on how we see diligence in the Bible, at home, at school, and at play. And so I'll just read one of these stories to my kids a week. There's 4. Sometimes I won't get to it, and we'll just discuss how we are working on our diligence this week or whatever. Most of the time it happens at school. when we're doing our studies or sitting down to a lesson. Let's be diligent and work hard to accomplish this task until we have finished in the, you know, amount of time that we're supposed to, all of that kind of stuff. So I pick one character quality to work on for 6 weeks. And this is how we do it. So that's currently what we're going through. Like I said, for literature and poetry and all that kind of stuff, that is straight from Ambleside Online. So we're doing year 1, and then whenever I read those specific things, this is a Charlotte Mason approach to the morning time, is I'll have my son narrate back to me some of the stories that we read. So yesterday we read The Wolf and the Dog from Aesop, and so he had to explain back to me in his own words what the story was about or what he got from the story. I have like this little cheat sheet I call back here that I got from the Ambleside Online Facebook community, and they're just some different ways that I can ask for narrations. So some of the questions are: what happened in order? Tell me all you remember. Tell me what you understood. List 4 or 5 things you learned. What do you think about? Fill in the blank. Draw a picture of what we read. Write a character a letter. So all these different ways to have my son narrate to me the story. So then we have picture study. So I just pulled together these pictures online, and currently we're studying the architecture. At the beginning of the term, we studied mosaic art form, and so this one is, yeah, this was what we studied. We learned about mosaic, how mosaic is formed and all of that stuff. And then we learned about Illuminated Manuscript. We learned about this one. This is the Tree of Jesse, illuminated page from Robanus Morris Day, Laudibus Sancte Crucis, Latin. And so we learned about the art form of illuminated manuscript and where those are found and how that's made and all of that stuff. And now we're currently studying architecture, which is the arched things here. So anyways, this really, I don't do anything too fancy with art study. I just kind of throw stuff together and, you know, make it work. So nothing too fancy there. If we get a chance to maybe do a mosaic craft, then that's great. If we don't, then that's fine. I generally have about 6 weeks to get to one of the art forms, and so far we've been able to do a mosaic craft and illuminated page craft. So that's how we do picture study. And then, like I said, catechism, Lord's Prayer, I just read it to them and have them repeat back to me what they remember or have them say it with me. Currently we're learning the folk song King John and the Abbot of Canterbury. And so I actually have these things in this little binder, or in this little folder here. So I have the Lord's Prayer that I can easily flip to and read. I have some of our folk songs and some of our hymns, and then I have some of our recitations, which currently we're working through a walking song by J.R.R. Tolkien. So yeah, that's everything. And then I do also include in our morning time, and believe it or not, it doesn't take but 15 to 20 minutes. And then that gives me an additional 10 minutes or so, because we keep it to about 30 minutes, where I do preschool things with my daughter, and obviously include my older in it because he likes doing that stuff too. But I can share a little bit more in another video if you want on how what we do for our preschool. So preschool pretty much works itself into our morning time. And then from there we segue straight into our circle time, which some people call it the same thing, but I don't use it as part of our morning time basket per se. I've mentioned this in a previous video. We do our circle time through the TV on YouTube. So I can share that playlist with you if you're interested in doing that as well. But that is everything. Like I said, I have all of this, most of the readings from Ambleside Online on my Kindle, and I just read from it. And then my kids, they have special morning time activities that they are allowed to do only during morning time. And so I've set up morning time boxes that they're allowed to have each day that we do morning time at school. So I hope that this video helped you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Turn on the little bell icon so that you can be notified of all of my latest videos. And I will see you in the next one.